Hello, this is your Unit 1 World Geography Review for Essential Skills 1 through 5 assessment. First of all, for Essential Skill 1, and you may want to have your yellow paper with you so you can kind of follow along, but the really important things for Essential Skill 1 are going to be, can you locate places using latitude and longitude coordinates? Can you, if I give you coordinates, tell me the place, and can we flip-flop it? I give you the place, you give me the coordinates. Can you do that? Back and forth. Be able to locate all 5 special lines of latitude and the prime meridian, the only special line of longitude that I asked you to know. Can you name and locate all of the continents and oceans, including the new 5th ocean, the Southern Ocean? And could you explain the difference between rotation and revolution? So a lot of this you're going to be using your guided notes and the practice that we did in class together, and that will really help you to kind of prepare for this first essential skill. Now, next is weather and climate. So for this one, you want to be looking for this paper, and we watched a little video clip about climate. So can you explain the difference between weather and climate? Remember, weather is day-to-day changes in our atmosphere. It's raining, it's snowing, it's sunny, it's windy, and climate is you take all that weather and add it up, and that trend puts you in a climate zone, and that's climate. So climate is kind of over a long period of time. What is the weather typically like at any given point in the year? Do you know what determines climate? Things like latitude and elevation and the sun and all that stuff. So go over this video clip, make sure that you're aware of all that stuff, so that if you're asked those questions on the exam, on the assessment, that you'll be prepared to answer. What is culture and subculture? So for this one, you're going to be looking at the 11 components of culture. And we talked a lot about American culture, and that it's a big kind of umbrella. And within the American culture, we talked about, culture is the actions and beliefs of a group of people. And subcultures are tiny pockets of different groups of people that share a common interest or a hobby or a religion or a language group or gender. It could be all different sorts of things, and we talked about those, and I asked you to write a few down that you belong to. So I want you to be able to tell about culture and then subculture, and then also those 11 components of culture. Can you name one and give an example, or name a couple, and can you give an example? And there are 11 of them, so you need to be familiar with 3 or 4. And then family structures we did together in class. Family structures. Okay, and we diagrammed families, and so really what you need to know about that is there were 3 of those that are the most common in the U.S. So you need to know which of those 3 are the most common in the United States. And we did couple without children, nuclear family, single parent family, blended family, and extended or multi-generational family. You need to know which 3 of those are the most common in the U.S. and what they are, their definition, the way they are diagrammed. And then also, what does family structure say about culture too? And you remember when we talked about grandparents and stuff and how that differs from culture to culture, and our culture is a little bit different with all the nursing homes and stuff. So what does that say about culture? You need to be able to interpret that. And then matriarchal or patriarchal, which is at the bottom of that paper. What does it mean if a society is matriarchal or patriarchal? Remember, the first 2 letters of each word will help you with ma and pa. And so those both have to do with heritage and descent and power in communities and families. So be familiar with those. Now let's talk about essential skills 3 through 5 all together. And for sure, I would definitely be familiar with the 5 themes of geography. And we did this in class. You were down in the lab working on this, and you need to know all 5 themes, but you also need to be able to explain each theme and know each subpart and kind of give an example. So for instance, for location, you would want to know, okay, this is where a place is located. The subparts are relative and absolute. Absolute would be the exact position of a place using latitude and longitude or an address, and then relative would be where a place is in relation to another. KFC is just south of McDonald's on Santa Fe, something like that. Next, you'll want to know, find this sheet, the physical Earth, and you'll need to know about what is geology, how does it differ from geography, what are the concepts of plate tectonics and continental drift. So be familiar with all of that stuff, the components of the Earth, core, mantle, crust. So that stuff will be something that you'll want to be familiar with, as well as weathering and erosion and the way materials are weathered, and erosion is, how are they moved about. There are 3 ways in which they are moved about. So you want to be familiar with that also. Now, lastly, we have resources and sustainability. So we talked a lot about different traditional and alternative resources, energy sources rather, when we talked about natural resources and renewable and non-renewable. When we spend a great deal of time on, what are these alternative energy sources? What do they mean? Why are they important? What are traditional energy sources? What are those negative things about them? Why are we even looking at alternative energy sources? Why are colleges starting brand new green technology programs? Why will there be more jobs available? What big global problem are we trying to address? So you want to be familiar with all of that as well. Now, in terms of the assessment, it will be on Edmodo, which means it'll be done here at school online, and so there's no paper pencil part of it. Everything that we just went over, you can expect there to be a question about it. There will be a couple multiple choice. You'll have between 20 and 25 questions. A lot of them are going to be asking you to do the explaining. So I may ask you to provide an alternative energy source and explain it, or to explain what culture is. And so that's when you would type in culture is the actions and beliefs of a group of people. And then I might say, okay, now tell me what a subculture is and give me an example. And you would say, and type in, a subculture is a pocket of people within a larger culture group that shares a common interest or idea, and it could be language. And then within that group, so for instance, like the skater group, you have a dress, a type of attire, apparel that is worn or is popular. You have lingo, you have equipment, you have experts and heroes and all kinds of literature and stuff. And so if you're not a part of that subculture, you may be unaware that all that stuff exists, or even that it's out there and what it involves. So that's what a subculture is. It kind of unites a group of people around a hobby or some other kind of attribute. For your test, you need to be signed in on your own Edmodo account. You cannot be using somebody else's. You'll be on a computer. You will have 50 minutes, 1 class period to complete your exam, your assessment of all 5 skills. You must have everything done on this yellow sheet in order to be allowed to take your assessment. So if I did not check you off on your block day this past week of having everything done, then you're not going to be allowed to take your assessment or to begin it until everything is done. So this weekend is a nice long weekend. You should really be studying and getting all that stuff done. So when you come to class, or maybe I would even suggest coming in before school to get all that checked off, so that when you come to class, you are ready, you are cleared, and you are ready to take your Edmodo assessment. Now, you may not work on the test outside of class or from home. It is an in-class test. In order for it to be valid, I have to verify that you are actually the one taking the test and that you are not using any other materials to help you take the test. So if you don't take the test in my presence, I can't guarantee the validity of your test, and so it will not be entered into the gradebook. You'll have to come in and take an alternative assessment at a different time. If you miss Monday, you will be required to come in before or after school or during ART, and you will be given a different test in order to make up the test. The alternative assessment will be a little bit longer, so please try to get to class. Remember, progress reports are next week. And I hope to have these assessments on your progress reports. And please, please be sure to study. Have a great and safe weekend.